welcome. This is Irene with CBiz Media, single Christian girl. And I have a good friend of mine, Miss Taja. How are you doing, Taja? She's
Good.
from Celibacy is Sexy. So I'm glad to have her here with us. So can you briefly just tell the people a little about you and Celibacy is Sexy?
Yeah. So hello, everyone. As she mentioned, my name is Taja, and I am, how I simply put it, a child of the Most High. I really want, as I get older, I don't really describe myself by my profession or anything like that anymore. Um, just more so just like a chill woman who loves the Lord, who tries to spread positive messages, which is where my show Celibacy is Sexy on YouTube comes in handy. Trying to really, as I say, reclaim the beauty in sexual discipline. And so that show, we're in our second season currently, where we're covering different topics around sex and how people engage with it and all of that. And so it's going well. And I'm a host, and I also have a 9 to 5, and I am a family girl. I'm a girl's girl. I'm a friend's girl. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks, Taja. We're happy to have you here with Single Christian Girl, catering to all ages of single Christian women that are trying to live a lifestyle for Christ, loving God, loving themselves, loving each other as sisters, and just celebrating and lifting each other up and reflecting and checking in and like saying, yeah, I understand. I've been through that. I'm going through that. I went through that. Oh, am I going to go through that? What should I expect? All of that stuff. We have fun here, Single Christian Girl. Again, I'm Irene, and we have some just fun topics we're just going to be throwing out there, and I'm going to get Taja's responses to. Some of these are hot topics trending at the time, and some of these are topics that I'm sure everybody may ask at any different time. But first off, I want to talk about Just Witty. She's an influencer for single women. I believe in their 30s is when she started. I'm not sure exactly when she started her journey for her social media and her influencing, but she is no longer single. But it was fun and cute to see all of the little awkward things she did as a single Christian in the 30s. But she's no longer single anymore, and congratulations to her. And then
See, you
Turner,
do it
her
for
pluggy.
others, Lord. Yeah, I'm like, I seen the Lord work for others. Let it happen for me. Let it happen for me.
Amen. So, what are your thoughts on her journey and her blessing as a wife now?
Man, I've been following her for a little while. Prior to her, I think, most infamous moment, which is what the wig slipping on the podcast, Dear Future Wifey or Dear
That's
Future Wife,
right.
whatever, podcast. So I had been following her prior to that, and when I watched that episode, I was hearing how she was already like discouraged, I guess, a little, and she's doing this content and all of this for a while. But that re-engagement from that incident on the podcast really like propelled her, and all these people started following her, and it just kind of reset her ablaze. So I think that was beautiful. And I think that her story and this new content that she's putting out with her husband, they are all over the place right now, sharing their journey.
They are.
I love it. I'm excited because, like I said, I seen the Lord move for somebody. Do it for me, do it for me in my situation. She said she had been single for, I think, 12 years, 10, 12 years, something like that, which is a long journey of working through singleness. And so to see her be granted a husband, and one that seems very like rooted and planted and firm in the Lord, is just like, I'm happy for her. I really am. And I hope, I know she said she's still going to do some content around like singleness and being funny around that. But I don't know, maybe I'm like, does she really need to do that since we know that she's married now? I don't know. Maybe let her content evolve into funny stuff for married people. I don't know.
Yeah, I already see some of it kind of evolving. I think because I found out on another YouTube podcast that she was seeing someone, so she was off the market. We didn't know how far things were at that point, but we knew she was with someone. So I saw little things here and there where she was kind of like preparing herself for this, possible spouse to be. So I saw some transitioning there, and I think it's gonna be beautiful. It may be a little bit of a challenge for her because even she said marriage, the thought she even had some self sabotage going on there. She was just not in the headspace, but I feel like at this time, of course, she is because we're hoping she is enough because she's married, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves because this was her business, this was part of her livelihood, and singleness, being a single Christian woman, was kind of like her thing, and it may be part of her bread and butter. I think she went full time into it, as far as
It
I
was her
think so.
brand.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so this is gonna be a switch up. I think she can do it though, and having her husband by her side, that can even add even more to what she's doing. So
Can I
two of
ask you something?
huh?
Can I ask you something?
Yeah,
Do you think she's going to lose following from the single people now that she is married?
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't, I think most people were rooting for her, so I don't know if they're gonna like this, or maybe they're like, this content isn't for me. But I feel like they have a bond with her enough where they're gonna stay with her. Most of the people, you never know.
Yeah.
And then she might even gain more followers now that she's married. The married community, the newly married community. So hopefully that's the trajectory for her.
Yeah, I hope the best for her. I know I plan to still root her on and follow her and cheer her on. So
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, hopefully her content is in a way where we can all relate, married or not. She'll have some married and she'll have some just everybody stuff in there. So, all right. So, I want to talk about Aaron Pierre and the Spirit Tunnel.
that's Mufasa.
I put that one on my page with that particular young lady editing herself into the video. It was like so many women that were editing themselves into the video. And what did you think about that whole phenomenon of that going on? And the thing I liked about it though was that everybody wanted to be wifey. Nobody was like, that's just my bae, that's my boo. Everybody wanted to be wifey.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I thought that was a good mindset for us ladies, that we want to be wifed up.
Oh, of course, with Aaron Pierre for sure. Like,
Right.
first of all, it's funny because I always have been watching the J HUD Spirit Tunnel for a while and just appreciating a lot of the people's like spirit tunnel entrances. And so when it came to Aaron Pierre's, watched his, and for some reason, it wasn't like they remade a song or anything. They just made up the Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. And so when I was listening to it, I just kept going back to it before I knew that other people were also like obsessed with it. And so I was like secretly had the video saved and would just go back and play it because I was like, oh, this is wonderful. Like, and then I started seeing it pop up where I was like, oh, everybody liked Aaron Pierre's. Oh, okay. But also that's my man. That's my that's
Right.
mine right there. But I was like, I loved. I know. I'm like, get her out the picture. I loved it.
See, you should have photoshopped yourself in there doing that dance.
Okay.
Yeah, that I mean, the chant was catchy. I mean, he's Aaron Pierre. He's attractive. I mean, it was fun, and the thing that I was really was getting me was all the women that was photoshopping themselves in the video, and then some of them really looked really photoshopped, and it was so hilarious. Like that was the thing that caught my eye, that made me keep looking at it. Like, what is this?
It was so
and,
good. It was so good.
and then there's been like a couple of other people that came to the Spirit Tunnel after we're trying to copy him, like. Everybody wants that success. That
I
I mean,
love
that clip
it.
went viral when I shared it on mine. So I'm like, what? Yes, thank you, Aaron. The
Thank
gift
you,
that keeps on
Aaron.
giving. You guys keep loving Aaron.
And
Let's see what he
shout
does
out to
next.
his parents. Shout out to his parents for the DNA
For his
because
mom
the
and them.
genetics. Right. Shout out to mom and them because beautiful man. A beautiful man.
I got a lot of flack because I compared him to Will Smith. I did it on the comments and everybody was hating me so much. I got so much bad mail, but I got a lot of attention still, so I wasn't too mad about it. Does he favor Will Smith at all?
I think I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't say I think his stature does. I'll give you that. Like he's kind of built like him. His head shape's kind of like his. Skin tone, face shape a little bit. I think both of them are very handsome. I'm not going to downplay Will Smith and say Will Smith ain't handsome because he is. And also, Aaron Pierre is very handsome as well.
But yeah, they was like, no, he can't touch Aaron. They was like, Will is trash. I'm like,
Saying Will
really?
touch Aaron. Will Smith is fine too. Like, let's not do
Well,
that.
he's
We
not. He's not flying.
oh,
He don't got
Will
them
Smith.
eyes. I think everybody was saying the eyes, the eyes. It's the
We do
eyes.
like the eyes. The eyes bring a different level to it, but I wouldn't downplay Will Smith now. Like people who downplaying on Will gotta chill a little bit. They gotta chill just a
All
little
right,
bit.
you on my team. You on my team. So, do you have any celebrity crushes that you want to shout out?
So let's first say Aaron Pierre. We can give him one. I like physically Kofi, who was like in Queen Sugar and some other stuff. I think physically he is a beautiful man. However, a clip recently came out about him doing non-monogamy, and I was like, you got to get knocked down a couple pegs because you on your stuff. I have some weird tastes, so I love Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf, I like him. I've always loved Taj Mari, and I always thought it would be cute because it'd be Taj and Taja if we got together. Shout
Oh,
out
that's
to
so cute.
you.
I love it. I love it.
I love him, and I love Sterling K. Brown. I think he is a beautiful, beautiful man, and also a beautiful soul. Him and his marriage, though, I love that too. They have a
Yeah.
beautiful relationship, but he is gorgeous. Um, I would say, yeah, those some top hitters. I would say some contenders in the arena.
Not bad. I like your taste of like it's different. Like
It's
they're not
different.
all the same type. So I like Aldous Hodge. I think he's married too.
Uh huh.
I'm trying to see if I can say what he was on. If you guys can reference him, but it was a show he was on years ago called Underground. He was on
Yep.
that.
Good girl. Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
shows I can't if they're not coming up in my mind. And then I like Leslie Odom Jr. I just to me both
Okay.
of those guys have like they seem like they're good hearted and they're both married and they have a good family life
Yeah.
and they're very talented, they're attractive in different ways. So
Did you watch Hamilton?
yes, I saw Hamilton.
Okay. So you know he's Aaron Burr, sir. Leslie Odom. I loved him, and I loved him in the Nationwide commercials too. He used to have the best jingles on the Nationwide commercials. I
Yeah, I
love
love
him.
his music. He has like a jazz type of just chill music and like classic
Yeah.
and fun. Like I liked one of his Christmas records too. So
Yes. Yes. Solid guy. Solid guy.
That's all I got for now. I like other actors that are not of color, but those are the two that stand out right now.
What about Michael Ealy? You like Michael Ealy?
Yeah.
I do too.
I mean,
I do
everybody
too.
love his eyes. It's all about the eyes.
I love him. He's so gorgeous.
The name of your show is Celibacy is Sexy. So, what drives you, or what has driven you to go to the route of celibacy?
um, so like the show in general or my own journey with celibacy?
A little bit of both. However
Okay.
you want to share it.
Yeah, so I have had intercourse in my life, and I am now abstaining from it until marriage, as I feel like that's what the crazy part is I've always believed that sex should be within the constraints of marriage between one man and one woman, husband and wife. I just for truthfully rebellion against God because he was taking too long. I was in my early 20s and I didn't have no husband, and I was like, wow, that's crazy, God, because I've been obeying you, and like you ain't brought my husband and I'm a catch. I done got my education and everything, and you just gonna really, oh, okay. So I was like, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. And so in my 20s, I was like, it's going down. Um, Now, granted, even with that, I was just like, I was always uncomfortable with it. Uh, it's fun, and also I have a lot of guilt when I do blatant sin. I'll say that. So it was like every time I would do it, I'd be like, I can't even enjoy it really because I'm condemned in my spirit. Like I know this is wrong.
Yeah.
So I really didn't have a long stint of time when I really only active for like 3 years. And within those 3 years, it wasn't even a lot of experiences. And so as I progressed, I'm in my 30s now, and I've been walking on this journey. I've just noticed in society, I love watching a lot of dating shows. I love talking about relationships and love. And also, I've been noticing in the church and out of the church, we in culture have misused sex, and it has gotten out of control. And honestly, sexual liberation is a farce and is not real. And you think that you're getting satisfied when really it's bringing all this heartbreak. I talked to a lot of girlfriends that be sleeping with people, and it'd be nothing but headaches and heartaches and unwanted things that you get because we're out here giving ourselves away and we're not enjoying it really, and how it just impacts men as well. So I say all that to say, through my own journey of discovery, not a lot of people are talking about it and really like being transparent and open about it. And I just felt like the Lord was like, do something about it. It's on your heart. You're comfortable with it. Why not like explore this topic? And so that's how I started with the show, and in my own journey, just walking it out and praying that it doesn't go too much longer.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, mine's is forever. But anyway, I guess I consider myself abstinent until marriage. I know celibacy and abstinence are similar. I think celibacy could be for an extended amount of time, and abstinence was is just considered like for a certain period or something. That's what I was looking up as far as the definitions of celibacy and abstinence. And I was going to ask you as a follow up about, which I think you pretty much answered. Did your sexual well maybe not. Did your sexual experiences confirm or challenge your celibacy? So was the point like when you said, I'm going back, I'm done with these 3 years, this 3 year stint, like what made you say like click, like I really get like through those experiences you were having, what was like, I got to stop this and I got to go back? Was it the Lord tugging at you? Was the experiences no longer that good anymore? Like, I'd like to know.
Yeah. So so 3 years of like, I would say activity. And then from there, I did do a couple more years with one person here and there.
Okay.
Okay. So I have to think. Okay. So I will say one, how I mentioned, I definitely have that guilty conscience. So I was tired of being in that state of like, I'm tired of feeling guilty about this. Two, there are a lot of, I ain't gonna hold you. A lot of experiences are a little lackluster. Like people be thinking that they got A1 A1 steak sauce and it don't be what you think. So I'm trying to be polite in wording. And then three, I'll say when I was like really for real about the Lord, I was like, which I've always been, but like just really, really pushing in on holiness and how he said, if you love me, you'll obey my commands. And I had to say, dang, I love you, Lord, but I'm saying it with my lips and not with my actions. And so I need to change that. And it got to a point to where it was just like, when the Lord is like, if your eye offends you, cut it out. If your hand offends you, cut it off. I felt like he was at a point with me too, because in my spiritual journey, it wasn't even a stronghold anymore. It was just like, I'm just doing it because. So he's like, okay, you got one more time. That's what I felt like he said to me, was like, you got one more time. Because you not even, I give grace where grace is needed, and I give mercy where mercy is needed, but you don't need this grace and mercy. You just out here because you out here. And I was like, yikes, Lord, you are right. I am doing stuff that I know I could cut this off and be okay. And when I felt like that was something that he told me, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just, I don't even want to experience whatever consequence might come from this. Like that was my like, oh, okay, cool. I ain't gonna do this. I'm a stay the straight and narrow. So that's where I'm at now with it. I know the words how you were talking celibacy and abstinence and the difference between that. The reason I call the show Celibacy is Sexy is just because it sounds better than abstinence or sexy. I think that's a little
Yes.
a little weird. Uh,
Right.
and then two, I think people get a little too caught up on like, oh, celibacy means forever and well, whatever. The
Yeah, I
point
don't
is
know if
abstaining
it's
from the
forever, but
sex.
yeah, because I know you're right. Like they say, some take a vow of celibacy for religious purposes.
Yeah.
So it's not the same kind of celibacy. Like they should have like some dual definitions now,
Yeah,
because
I'm like, we know we just not doing the sex. Like, we ain't got to put all the whatever on it. Uh, we not doing it. That's what I know. Call it what you want to call it. It ain't happening unless I'm married. That's what we calling it.
all right, facts. So was like the transition a huge struggle? Was like the temptations was fire temptations coming after you when you when you was like, I'm gonna stop, God telling me to stop before something.
Uh-huh.
How did
It
you deal with the temptations?
the temptation still be here, but I am a lot. The first round, I feel like obviously when you pray, the minions and the demons are out here. Satan's little minions are out here being like, okay, you wanna be saving yourself. We'll see about that. And I felt like everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people from my previous experiences randomly started popping back up. I was getting text messages out of the blue, random friend requests. And at one point, I entertained it for a hot 2 seconds. And then I said, what am I out here doing? Block with no just I was like, I'm done. Block. So that part was like an immediate type of, I felt like, test. And then from there, most of it, the rest of it hasn't been too bad, but there is instances where it's like, oh dang, like this person's cute and this person's flirting, or it's sometimes just you feel like we're human. We have horniness. So sometimes you
Right.
just have feelings like it'd be nice to be with somebody right now. But I just don't really, it's not as pressing. I can turn that off a lot more now, I feel like, than when I first was like, oh, I'm going into this journey. So it's not as bad. But temptation still does come. I will say that.
So, have you been a part of any like abstinence or celibacy groups? Have you had any experiences with those?
Uh, by default, my friends, but not officially. They would probably hate if I said that, but uh, not in any sort of like searching out groups like that. Um, because I don't know, I think I personally have some maybe biases with it, like a little, like maybe it could be a little lame. I don't know. I've never really been in any of the groups, but just my perception of what it would be like, I'm like, it seems like it would be for lames, personally. No offense to anybody in the groups because I've never been in them. So I do want to qualify that. But that's what's held me against it, is like, it could
Okay.
be. Yeah.
I think I started joining the groups because I got tired of being in situations and relationships where it was like sex was a requirement, and I was kind of disheartened by different situations where it would appear to be one way, but then the sex part always had to come up and come through. So I was like, I'm tired of all these sex people. I need to be with people that's not sexy like me. So I kind of sought them out because I kind of felt alone at that time. I feel like I was the only one not doing anything, and I needed to be around people that also were like that. So I didn't feel like this the weirdest person and the loneliest person ever. So that's why I actually did seek out those groups after I had like this major relationship that didn't work out. Marriage was supposed to be involved, but sex was always coming up before that. So it's like, I'm gonna try to find my own kind or whatever. And so for my experiences, I do feel I'm not gonna say lame, but I feel like it could be better.
Can I ask you something about the experiences with the groups?
Yeah.
So at one point, my friend, I joined this one group because I wanted to see what was happening in there, because she joined a group about being a late bloomer. And I went into this group. I filled out the little form saying that I was a late bloomer, even though I wasn't, just so I could get in the group. And a lot of the posts in there were like almost like woe is me. It'd be like, I'm just so I hate that I'm da 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 da. And it just felt so like depressing. Was that the same type of experience in those groups? Like, are people posting like, dang, I went out with somebody and they just wanted to have sex? Like, was it that type of content in there, or what?
It was that, and it was depending on your age group. And then sometimes when the younger 20 somethings were in there and they were depressed, I was like, you guys are too young to be depressed about this. You have some time. But the one I was in, we even had a section for people that are 40 plus. So, I mean, I feel like at that age, it seems like people have kind of just given given up in that group. It's like, oh, I just used to not doing it. So I was like, this is kind of lame to me because I feel like at that point they were like, I'm just alone and who cares? And it's like
Nobody.
great, it's like great Bible scriptures and like things to
Did
inspire you
anybody?
in there, which was nice, but they really didn't to me stay on topic. Like it was like a weekly meeting you could go, oh, I'm sorry, monthly meeting you could go to, and it was like a Zoom, and it was so many people in there that I couldn't. My Zoom was messing up. It was like hundreds of people trying to get in there. I think that they needed to work on some things, and then I'm in a Facebook one, which I kind of like more. And people are doing anonymous posts, and they're actually talking about real temptations that they've had. They met somebody, and this is what they did, and I failed. So I kind of like that
Oh.
group a little more. I feel like it's a little more honest. Um, but it's a mix of a lot of different things. But as far as actually something happening and meeting someone, I don't see that. I feel like maybe it's kind of more like a support group, but it's not gonna evolve beyond
But
just supporting
why?
each other.
Because that's what
Like
I would
that's what
be
I feel.
like.
That's what I said. I think some people need to start some new ones or something. Or maybe I need to keep. Maybe I need to keep searching. I don't know, but it's like the ones that
Because
I
I would be in
participated
here
in.
like I'm this year's old. I ain't got, well, obviously no kids if if we're all on this journey.
Right.
No kids, a
Some
believer.
people were, newly celibate, been celibate for a few years. They had kids, they had, all of
Okay.
that. And then I know some of the ladies were like, well, some men were saying, well, why are you celibate? You already had kids. Like they were like giving them attitude. I'm like, come on,
I
honey.
hate that. Yeah. I hate
You
that
already
notion
did
as
it. You might as
though
well keep doing it some more. Like you had a whole baby. Like
I hate that
it's just
that
an
logic.
insensitive dating world out here. And
I
they're not
hate
for
that logic.
God. They're for what they want when they want it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's trippy. It's like so the group is kind of supportive, but it's kind of like a give up spirit. And then I want to talk a little bit about asexuality because I just thought about it, and it's just like one of those. It's like so many different sexualities, but this is a subculture of sexuality where people just have a lack of or a low sexual attraction. So for me, I kind of feel like it might be some people in those celibacy groups that are celibate and they're not really trying to have sex. Like that's not their goal.
Do
And
you
then
feel
like
like those people though, like, would you feel like you would need to be in a group if you were asexual? Because it would you just be like, I'm chill, like I don't need to have sex, so it don't bother me, type of
probably
thing?
just like me, they just don't want to be alone and feel like the weird person that's not not a part of those activities. But no one's actually said that. But I do believe that there are people with like super low libidos, and I don't know if
Hmm.
you've come across anyone like that, but I haven't. It's like I think most of us haven't.
Yeah, it's not. I had somebody when I worked at a university and I used to talk to students about health and wellness and sexual stuff or whatever. A couple students I have come across that had mentioned that they thought they might have been asexual just because they weren't particularly interested in that. Um, but it's very, very few and far in between that. Very few and far in between. But also, that makes me wonder though. So one of my episodes was on vocational singleness and like living out singleness for life, essentially, because the Lord has called some of us to be single. Do you think what do you do in a situation where you still have a high libido, but the Lord, you feel like the Lord is maybe calling you to singleness? Or do you think that's an indicator that he's going to get you married, but it just hasn't happened yet?
That's like a really difficult question. I mean, because there's nuns and all that stuff and priests, and for me, I feel like most of them probably either
You think they be
at the
wanting to
time they
have
weren't
sex?
thinking about the sex. Like, let's say they got in there young and they were just like, I want to serve the Lord and passionate for the Lord. And then later on, because we've heard about some of other disgusting things in the priesthood, that's a whole different story. But, that they're not really keeping their vows. But Yeah, that's really kind of a hard question to me. I feel like a lot of them may have that low libido, or they just have such a strong passion for Christ that that overrides it. I do feel like some of them have to be struggling on some level.
Yeah. I
I
never
don't
I
know.
never really thought about nuns being like, I got a libido up in me. But they very much could be and be just like, wow, it's about the Lord. That'd be
You need to
difficult.
find some stories like this.
Right. Talk to a nun with high libido. Now that would be an episode.
And then there's another subsexuality, demisexual, and that's just basically you don't feel any sexual attraction to someone until after you guys form a strong relationship or strong bond. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of that one. Um, the question, it's been so long since I've done a lot of these different sexualities, like study them, but is it similar to sapiosexual, where it's like the mind is what attracts you, essentially, like their intellect and like their
I think it's more of you have to start a bond because, like, you can like meet a really cool person with a great mind the first night, and people will sleep with each other the first night. Like, I think you're really cool right now. Let's go ahead and do this.
yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, I guess that's a similar. It could be true too, but like, there's the dating culture is people can just if you look good, then let's do it. We don't have
Sure.
to have like a connection of any kind. But for
Mhm.
my experience, it takes a little time to build a connection. It's not. I've never had an instant connection. Have you with someone where first meeting is just? I
Not
mean,
anybody that I would just be like, "I wanna take you to Pound Town," like, not like
right.
I've had some good conversations, but nobody that's just like, "Yeah, baby, let's do this." Like, I don't know.
Well, I guess it happens, but it just sounds like one night stand material. Just I'm just talking about different things and just getting your perspective and thoughts on it. Because I feel like most women are demisexual though. I feel like men. This is my summation. You, what is that? I said most.
Interesting.
I said most.
You think so?
I do. Or maybe I'm just projecting that onto women because that's how I am. What is your
Yeah.
experience?
Listen, I I know a lot of women who are just as sexually forward as some men can be, to where they literally can be about that sex like on site. So I don't know. I don't know.
But what, like in your life, like in your experiences, the percentage of women that you've come across? You got a backup for this one?
Listen, it's I would say there's a lot more women. That's what I tell my guy friends all the time. I say the reason men get heartbroken is because they think women are out here being loyal to them. Like the way women operate nowadays, let me take out the images of the people who I'm talking about. The way that some people operate nowadays are just like men, especially in the dating realm. Men always think that they got a roster of women that they can just go through their list. And what they don't understand is women nowadays are on the same level. What I'm telling you, I know some people, some women, lots of women who equally can have themselves a roster. It's just I think women were better at like making you seem like you're the only one. And so women I would just say a lot of women be out here. That's all I'm gonna say.
Do
Without
they
the
do it
connection.
for benefits? Cause like I've heard the thing of like she has one guy for this and one guy for that. Is it like that type of thing, or she just sleeping on out of just for her own pleasure?
Both. I
Okay.
think there are men who, because I'm even taking myself back to my 20 somethings when I was out in the world, and I had me a little roster, whatever. But the thing is that it was for not everybody, but my roster was not, I didn't sleep with everybody on the roster. But there were guys for different things. Like this one's a little boring to talk to. He's not high intellect, so he's just gonna be the fun dude. This one, I know that if I'm bored at night and like I need somebody to talk to, I can call this one. This one's gonna be the one that's like all the compliments and he really really likes me, and so when you need your head boosted, I'm gonna talk to that one. And so there's that, but then there's also, I think, just the dominance. Like women, we like to feel powerful too, and we like men when they're riding our tails, like. And so if we feel like we can have, um women know the power of the cootie cat. Like they know that they have a lot of power, because even in the Bible days, we saw how Delilah was with Samson. We saw how all these women brought down Solomon. We saw all of the fall of men because we know what power we have sexually over men. And I think sometimes we utilize that to our benefit. We know that we can, men are simple. And so if you just typically throw that out there to them, they're going to want to take it. So
Right.
I think part of it is for power and for themselves, and then part of it is for the needs that the guys fulfill.
Okay. Thanks for schooling us on that, Taja. Schooling me. I feel like on some level we have all this power here, but for some of us, it's a misuse of power because we're just letting everybody in, and it's like, girl, you
Yeah,
could be honing that power into in a better way, and we'll say in a godly way because we're women of God. But
that's it.
if you're gonna do it, uh, don't just don't do it with for anything and everyone and all of that stuff. And um, yeah,
Agreed.
okay. Now we're gonna get to Married at First Sight.
Yeah, it's been a good season. This one in Chicago been crazy.
So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and then I'm gonna ask you like your overall thoughts of, I guess, this season. But because it's not over yet as we're recording, but when it comes to these three main couples that are having the most issues, because I'm not gonna recap it for you guys, but I'm just gonna, for those that know this show, you know, we have three couples here that are really having the biggest issues. Ike and Akechi and MM, they call them Ike.
Yeah.
Akechi and MM, they have issues with. I think his main issue is he feels that he is not to the level that she is. It was a lot of stuff going on with them. Uh,
Insecure for sure.
yes. So-called miscommunications about the romantic part. I don't even know how deep that goes. I need to see more. Maybe like
Hmm.
when they do a reunion or something, we can get more on that. Or okay, then we have Alan and Madison. Alan is so in love with Madison, will do anything for her, but she has her eyes on someone else. I mean, she acts like she's in it, but she's not all the way in it because she's with, actually, what they say is unprecedented. She actually is cheating with one of the other couples' husband. So she's with David, and David and Michelle. Michelle has basically been giving David a hard time when she found
Hmm.
out he lived in the basement of his family's house, and she basically was never really going to give him a chance after that, and he looks like he's trying to give her so much and she's just not reciprocating or responding. So it ends up that these two kind of swap partners, unbeknownst to their spouses, and that's married at first sight. So out of those three couples in this reality show, like which one do you think has it worse?
Ooh. I would say Alan and Madison because I feel like Alan has been the biggest victim in out of all three couples. Like he's had the most surprises that's happened to him. Now, where Alan needs some accountability is that he was really trying to change himself for this woman. I understand you have to sometimes in relationships adjust and adapt, to your person, but he bought $3,000 worth of clothes for her not to like him. He bought what's Invisalign
Invisalign.
to fix his smile. He was going to the gym. Your body
Yes.
be sore, muscles multiple
I'm
times.
like, when she first told him he needed to go to the gym, I was like, are you crazy? Like, it'd be different if he was like very unhealthily
Right.
overweight or something and was unhealthy. This guy is like average looking size guy. She's like, you need to go to the gym like all the time. I was like, wow.
Yeah, just rude. Like,
I
so
was
he was
done with
trying
her
to
right then.
listen. He was trying to love on this woman, trying to get her staying up, sleeping on the couch, so then maybe he could catch her coming home like at 3 in the morning. And was like, the first night they moved into their apartment, his friend had passed away, and she stayed at her friend's house or wherever. Like, Alan has just been so. It's been sad to watch because he's giving his all. He is giving his all. And yet to have the wool pulled over his eyes, essentially, I think he has it the worst.
Okay, I think he has it the worst emotionally. I feel for MM though with Ikechi because he kind of gave her in the beginning like he was really into being with her, and then he kept throwing her for a loop. He had very horrible communication. I do see she was asking a lot of questions, but like he acts like he's like in elementary school or something. Like he can't grasp what is being said, and he gets an attitude like a little kid, and he's not manning up. And what is he in his early 40s at this point? It's
Mm-hmm.
like then we see why you aren't married, sir. And then they were like, well, this is the second time he's tried to audition for this show, and he actually got in this time. So you would think he would be more serious about marriage and trying to make it work. So I feel like she really kind of got the wool pulled over her eyes with this person. Because
Can I ask you something on that?
what?
You don't feel like, where I don't give the like full credit is because he was treating her terribly. And yet she kept saying, I want to try. Yes, let's move in. Let's move back in. Let's do all I'm in this marriage. My husband. And he was treating her like boo boo. And so at what point is it like, do you just say, I'm done? Like, that's what I didn't understand, was why she kept going. Like, they had just had a bad session with Dr. Pia towards the end, and he's like, you want to go play some arcade games? And she's like, yes. And then grabbed his arm and walked with him across the street. And I'm just like,
Yeah, but like I'm like, why did he even ask her that? And like he was misleading her off and on. Excuse me, but I think
you
he was
think
doing it
so?
for the show. A little. He was doing it for the show though. But honestly, she did seem kind of needy, and she would like. But if I put myself in that position, and I'm like on this show to get married, I feel like I would have probably did a lot, but at some point I probably wouldn't have went all the way to the end. But
literally was ignoring her calls, moved out, called her a sexual predator, kept saying that she was throwing herself at him.
Right.
I would have been done, baby. You ain't got to say but one thing. Called me an a-hole on our wedding anniversary, came to the dinner
Yes.
and tried to embarrass me. Like,
Yeah,
you
she
wouldn't have
called
to
him
say
out and
nothing else.
everything, but it kind of to me show a little insight about where she came from and the stuff that she probably put up with her past relationships. And she said something about, well, I've been through the worst in this, and I was like, wow, you have. Then you should have walked away sooner. Like I think some people have had like bad experiences with men and women, and they kind of just hung in there to be there, so they just kind of put up with it, and that's their mentality. But like I do see it's an extra stake when you supposed to be married to this person to give everything that you can give. So I would have stayed, but probably not as long as she stayed.
Would have given him after the sexual predator comment because that was pretty early on, and he got mad about her making fish tacos and all of that stuff. Like he's been on a roll for a while. But once you call me an a-hole and you show up to our wedding dinner and then you're going out of town and you don't call me and you didn't think about, we would have been, I ain't got to do
Yeah,
this. It's an experiment. We're
right.
done.
The wedding dinner should have really just been the end. That was at the anniversary dinner and when the couple started to get together. Yeah, that should have totally been it. She called him out. I was enjoying her get her comeback on him, but then to take him back is like goodbye.
Exactly.
And he moved all his stuff. I was like, when they were like the experts try to keep you together so they can keep the show going, of course. And even both of them was like, we don't want to move back in yet. It really shouldn't have just. It should have been over then. But you know how they like to milk it for the. But I mean, this is people's lives as far as actually got married to this person. To me, I feel like, and people were like bashing the experts, like the experts are horrible when it comes to this. But I'm glad she got her little piece said in the end. But she went through so much to get to that messy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part was he brought that one divorce paper to the retreat. One piece of paper with no place to put your signature. Like,
See, she
dude,
should
you
even taken it a little farther though. She was still over by her little table. I would have went up. Did, have y'all ever been served one divorce paper? I would have went to the group. He gave me one paper
right.
that says divorce. Would you sign this? I would have embarrassed him so much more than that little, because she was still over by herself with him. I would have went to the group. He gave me this one paper that says 1 of 4 and want me to sign it. Would you sign this, Alan? Would you put your name on this? He would have
Right.
definitely been embarrassed walking up out of there. Ugh.
Like he was definitely just playing in her faces. I'm like, dude, you didn't have to come up there. Just leave her alone for the rest of this time. You don't want to be with her. Stay away from her. You're gonna get a divorce at the end. You just gotta wait another week or two? Or was it less than
Another
a week?
week. Yeah.
He just playing.
Ugh.
He's just playing. People were saying he just on there just to get some publicity or whatever, or some attention for what he doing. So
His personality type, no offense to dudes like that are really into spoken word and all of that, but all those, even his little stupid fake letters to my future WCW, those type of dudes, I know a few of them, all full of, it's a performance. I'm gonna say that it's a performance, and they want to play this. He's kind of like Derek Jackson. Do you know Derek Jackson? Um,
yes, I know
who,
who talking about.
and he had the wife that had on the helmet of salvation or whatever when she got she got cheated on. But like he's that type of dude where they're pandering to women and they're trying to be this like, oh, I love women and women are this and you guys don't get the credit you deserve, my queens. But really, they don't mean that. And he is definitely that type of dude. It's just the fakeness of it. I could smell that from a mile away. I was like, oh, I know the type. You're fake. That's
And
how I
so,
feel about him.
so what do you think about the whole David and Madison cheat off thing they're doing right now? Swapping partners.
I think, and I feel like this is the first of all, nobody deserves to get cheated on. So people are, and I get that Michelle has been rough. I'm not even team Michelle, even though she got cheated on. It was still wrong for David to cheat on her. I think everybody would have been fine if they would have waited until after decision day. Like if they got together because they were just like, it's been after decision day and we decided to pursue it, cool. But from the looks of it, this been going on for a long time. And it's
Yes,
only an 8-week process. So if you can
right.
put boundaries in place for 8 weeks, you whack. Like you're whack.
Really. Yeah, like what level of self control and I really looking at Madison too because it's like you should have been the smarter one because you're a woman. I mean, you can you're the smarter one in this situation. I mean, they're pretending that oh, we just realized we had feelings for each other. And who sends that type of text about eat you up to somebody you just start having feelings for? That would right,
Nobody.
right. So
And David
he
tried
is
to
the
lie to
worst
the
liar ever,
experts.
though. David is the worst liar.
The same lie that he told Michelle about when she was like, I don't think you're telling the truth. He was like, well, believe it, believe what you want to believe. He said that
Right,
to
to the
the experts.
experts, exactly. You're like, oh, we know you're lying now, sir. You're
You
not good at
lying.
this lying thing.
I was like, you're doing the exact same lie. Like y'all are both bad at this. Uh
All right, so that was fun. So, what are your final thoughts, Taja? We thank you for joining us here,
Thank you for having
representing
me.
Celibacy is Sexy. Do you have any final thoughts or just any final words you'd like to share about the show or anything?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This was definitely a ball. And if you have me again, I would love to be back and talk these hot topics. But if I could just leave people with last words, stay encouraged, stay blessed, stay in community. Iron sharpens iron for sure. So know that you are not alone out here. And we're going to keep fighting the good fight and we're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And you got sisters out here on the same path as you. So stay encouraged.
Thank you, Taja. Amen. Talk to you guys later. God bless.
Bye, y'all.